The title of this message is Healed by Faith. The scripture text for this message is Matthew chapter 9, verses 18 through 26. And this is for June 20th, 2021. Background scriptures is Proverbs 3, 1 through 8, and Matthew 9, 18 through 26, Mark 5, 21 through 43, and Luke 8, 40 through 56. Beginning with Matthew chapter 9, verse 18.
As Jesus was saying this, the leader of a synagogue came and knelt before him. "My daughter has just died," he said, "but you can bring her back to life again if you just come and lay your hand on her." So Jesus and his disciples got up and went with him.
The leader of the synagogue was responsible for looking after the building, supervising worship, running the school on weekdays, and finding rabbis to teach on the Sabbath. Continuing with verse 20.
Just then, a woman who had suffered for 12 years with constant bleeding came up behind him. She touched the fringe of his robe, for she thought,
"If I can just touch his robe, I will be healed."
Jesus turned around, and when he saw her, he said, "Daughter, be encouraged. Your faith has made you well." And the woman was healed at that moment.
This woman had suffered for 12 years with a hemorrhage, perhaps a menstrual disorder. In our times of desperation, we don't have to worry about the correct way to reach out to God. Like this woman, we can simply reach out in faith. He will respond. God changed the situation that had been a problem for years, like the leper and the demon-possessed man in Matthew 8:2 and 8:28. This woman was considered unclean. For 12 years, she too had been one of the untouchables and had not been able to lead a normal life. But Jesus changed that and restored her. Sometimes we are tempted to give up on people or situations that have not changed for many years.
When Jesus arrived at the official's home, he saw the noisy crowd and heard the funeral music. "Get out," he told them. "The girl isn't dead, she's only asleep." But the crowd laughed at him. After the crowd was put outside, however, Jesus went in and took the girl by the hand, and she stood up. The report of this miracle swept through the entire countryside.
The synagogue leader didn't come to Jesus until the daughter was dead. It was too late for anyone else to help. But Jesus simply went to the girl and raised her. In our lives, Christ can make a difference when it seems too late for anyone else to help. He can bring healing to broken relationships, release from addicting habits, and forgiveness and healing to emotional scars. If your situation looks hopeless, remember that Christ can do the impossible. Having successfully resolved the issue of the woman's bleeding, Jesus continued on his way to the ruler's house. Jesus had not forgotten the need there. Mourning in ancient Israel was not quiet. Minstrels, likely paid to mourn, played their instruments. Family and neighbors would gather to show support by joining in. People expressed sorrow with loud wailing and songs of lament. Matthew 11:17. The result was much noise in order to demonstrate just how loved the deceased person was. Jesus telling the crowd of the mourners to give place is a command to withdraw, as the word is also translated in Mark 3:7. But here, Jesus was not asking merely for quiet in order to concentrate. Rather, the fact that the maid is not dead but asleep meant that there was, shortly or would be, no reason to continue mourning. By this statement, Jesus was not implying that the girl was in a deep coma that had been mistaken for death, nor did he mean that she actually was sleeping naturally. He meant that she would not remain dead. Later, Jesus would speak similarly at the death of Lazarus, John 11, 1 through 11, a declaration that the disciples misunderstood. Matthew described the miracle in terms that matched Jesus' declaration that the girl was asleep. Like a parent might take a sleeping child's hand to awaken her, so Jesus woke the girl from death. Her resurrection came as a simple touch from Jesus, like the healing of the sick woman. Though most of the people were not with Jesus in the room, they surely saw that the girl was alive again. Matthew introduced the interaction between Jesus and the synagogue, but then interrupted it with a second encounter before returning to the first story to wrap it up. The parallel accounts in Mark 5:21 through 43 and Luke 8:40 through 56 do so as well. And by this arrangement, we know related themes in the two accounts. The themes are that of 1. A 12-year-old girl who had not yet attained womanhood when she died, and 2. A woman for whom womanhood had become the source of suffering for many years as the girl had lived. Perhaps you see yourself in the characteristics of the people in these two accounts. Perhaps you are like the sick woman, suffering with a chronic condition that does not improve. Certainly, we all may know that grief and suffering may come for us even if we persistently enjoy a moment of calm. The miraculous power of Jesus does not assure us that we have no loss or pain, but this story tells us what we can do in the midst of suffering and loss. We can put our trust in the Lord. Our ultimate destiny is a life in which the Lord wipes away our tears. Isaiah 25:8 and Revelation 7:17. Even if our pain lasts for years or doesn't go away, the Lord will heal it when He raises us with all His people to live with Him forever. We sometimes refer to Jesus as the great physician, but He is more than a great medical doctor who knows how to treat and cure diseases. There is power and authority in Jesus, power that eradicates death. There is the power and authority in the resurrected life in Jesus, power and authority for life both now and in eternity.